Welcome back to Greg Plays Games. Today I have my review for Grand Theft Auto 3, the Definitive Edition. So you can play this on any platform. You buy it in the, I don't know if you can buy them individually, but I bought mine in the trilogy, so I got Grand Theft Auto 3, San Andreas, and Vice City all together. And I bought this on the actual release date of the trilogy, which was a big mistake because if you're watching this video, you've probably already played or purchased the game, I would think. But when the games first released, they were, in a really unplayable state. I tried playing Grand Theft Auto 3 back then, and it crashed regularly. It was impossible to see during the rain. Some missions just you couldn't beat because of it. So it was kind of a mess. It made me just kind of shelf them, and then I kind of forgot about them until I just had been kind of craving to play a new game and was looking at my backlog at games I hadn't played, and Grand Theft Auto definitely sounded like a good time, so I fired it up and then decided I would start with Grand Theft Auto 3 since it is the first 3D game in the series. So today I'm just going to be kind of going over my thoughts, give you a little review, and also discuss what getting the Platinum Trophy for this game is like, because I, for some reason, decided to do that. I'm going to try to do it for Vice City. San Andreas seems a little more intimidating than these first two, but I'm certainly going to try Vice City and then, kind of see what San Andreas is looking like. So just to jump into it, I want to talk about some of the things I enjoyed about the game, and then kind of go into some of my critiques. So some of the things that I really like are just the general atmosphere. I think Grand Theft Auto does this better than pretty much every other game. Rockstar has just done a really good job with Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption. These are probably my most played game series, and definitely my favorites. So, I'm a little biased in that sense, but I also kind of can pick out a bad game when I see one. So I do really enjoy the atmosphere of the game. I do feel like even for this being a very old game, I actually don't know when this was released. I would guess in like the early 2000s. But I do think that the actual Liberty City is an interesting setting. I think that the game does a good job of making the world feel lived in. I think that the NPCs you interact with say some crazy things, which is always fun. I enjoy the driving around the city as well. I think for the most part, just the act of driving is fun. There are some interesting radio stations. And when you play the game a lot, especially if you're going to platinum the trophy, you can kind of start to see the game for what it really is at points, just because I don't think that Rockstar was making it specifically for this experience that I had. So I do think the radio stations were interesting, but some of the later games, especially the new ones, do it a lot better. I did like that they incorporated some of the modern GTA control schemes into this game. I really do wish they implemented more, but as far as the things I do like, I think the weapon wheel was a good addition. I don't know if that was in the original. From my understanding, it was added in this one. So I think just, a vast majority of the game is driving around, and they do that very well in exploring the city. That's a significant portion of this game, and Rockstar does that very well. I think just the actual act of exploring. Now, some of the negative things about exploring that I find are just the fact that when your car flips over, it immediately catches fire and is gone. And that happens a lot, especially when you get into some of the off-road challenges, and it's really frustrating, especially if you need a specific vehicle to complete a mission. Another aspect of transportation that I didn't like is the lack of vehicle diversity. There are some boats in this game, but they're so frustrating to use that you're better off just ignoring them completely. And there's no air vehicles. You can fly the Dodo after a certain point in the game, but it's more of a glider. You reach a certain speed, and then you can kind of make it glide a little bit. I wasn't really able to do much more than that. I could be wrong, but it wasn't really something I needed to do to get the Platinum Trophy for the game, so I didn't really mess around with the Dodo more than I had to. Now, some of the other critiques I have for the game start to get more outside of the exploration in the game itself. So just missions itself, I thought were pretty forgettable. I mean, I will say, like, I kind of autopiloted a lot of them. I'm skipping the cutscenes on a good bit. I mean, I did try and watch as much as I could, but at a certain point I was like, okay, I'm just doing this for the platinum trophy at this point. I'm going to kind of power through some of these story missions. But one thing that's really frustrating is the complete lack of checkpoints. If you fail a mission, you start right from the beginning. Some of the missions are long, extended, and you hit a certain point, you're like, oh, I really don't want to die right now. And then you pretty much always do. One mission that comes to mind is one where you have to drive a boat. You have to take a car to drive a boat to shoot down an airplane and then pick up the packages. I can't remember the name of the mission, but the boat is incredibly terribly slow, handles horribly, and so there's just parts of the game that make it frustrating to play, not because of user input error, but just because the game itself is a bit janky and definitely shows its age. So I mean, you kind of have to go in understanding that it's an older game. It's not going to be perfect, especially relatively speaking to modern standards. Now, I mentioned the checkpoints. I want to kind of go into the combat, because the combat, from what I've seen, is basically how it was in the original. As in, like, there's no cover system. I don't even think you can reload your guns. So you're kind of forced, especially in combat missions, to just like pray that you have body armor. I would definitely recommend finding some before a lot of the missions, just to make sure you can survive it. Just because, I mean, there's so many times where you're just eating bullets because there's no cover system. There's nowhere to hide. Or, you know, there's one mission where you have to kill like 8 people with a baseball bat and they're all fighting you and it's just you. So, you know, there's definitely a bit of the old jankiness that comes with it as well. My most frustrating things are the fact that they didn't update. In the modern version, they didn't update the game to have some sort of cover system. You can't even reload. When you're in your car, you can only use your Uzi. So that's also a little frustrating, especially because you want to run around, drop grenades on people, and you just can't do that in this game. So I do think that the game itself, you know, it's an older game, so it's hard to kind of rate it with that in mind. And in addition to the fact that it's a remaster that really left a lot on the table as far as what they could have done to improve the game, which is really disappointing, because I do think that this is a fun game. I can see why it's influential. You can definitely see the DNA of all of Rockstar games in this original game, in that it really set the groundwork. So it was really interesting to play just because of the history of it, I would say, and I really enjoyed it, honestly, for what it was, but there was still a lot that could have been improved upon. So my overall rating for the game is a 7.3, which I think is honestly pretty high, all things considered. I just think that at the end of the day, if I were just playing this game for fun, it is fun. Like, once you beat the game, you unlock tanks, and you can just run around and destroy things. So it does just kind of scratch a simple itch of, like, go blow stuff up, and that's why people love Grand Theft Auto, and that's why I think this game is so influential, is because it has that core fun. It has that you just drive around in the car, listen to music stuff, so it is really fun. So I think a 7.3 is pretty deserving for the game because of its influence and just because of what they did for games moving forward. So now that I have the score for the actual game, I want to talk more about the Platinum Trophy experience. I would say this is definitely one of the grindier Platinum Trophies I've done. I guess all Platinum Trophies are. I don't have a ton of Platinum Trophies. That's what I'm trying to do, is to get those numbers up. And I kind of wanted to do all of the GTA trilogy. I'm hoping that I can stomach doing San Andreas, but we'll see. But some of the really frustrating things about the Platinum Trophy are the ambulance challenges. If you are interested in this, definitely start doing those, because if you can't beat the ambulance challenge, you're fucked. They're a huge pain in the ass. It's the first thing you should do in the game, honestly, is the ambulance challenges. Just get it out of the way. Off-road challenges were also not something I enjoyed. You have to do everything in the game to get the platinum trophy. I would definitely recommend a platinum trophy guide before you jump into doing this, because there are missable trophies that you have to do that could really just kind of ruin your day if you missed them and had to replay the entire game to get to them. And luckily, for the most part, most of those missable trophies are at the beginning of the game, but there are also missions you can miss too that prevent you from getting 100%, which prevents you from getting the platinum trophy. So just use a guide to be thorough about everything. I'll even link to the guide that I used because it was very detailed and it was incredibly helpful. Definitely would not have been able to have gotten a platinum trophy without it, so I'll make sure to link that in the description. But there's also rampage challenges that were really frustrating, specifically the headshot challenges, just because the game is so old and the gunplay just, it feels so gross to use. It's really hard to get headshots. I struggled, at least. So then my last kind of critique is just the story and characters itself are just kind of uninteresting and not very gripping. But I don't really think that that's what this game was aiming to do. I think Grand Theft Auto, as its series progressed, its stories progressed as well, and really became what it is today, which is really kind of the quintessential video game franchise. They have online, they have fun single player, engaging stories, engaging characters that are telling stories that are like on par with movies and books. So I think it's really cool to see where the game came from. I would really only recommend doing the platinum trophy if you're sick in the fucking head and have nothing better to do. It's not fun to platinum this game, but if you were to just play the game just for the main story and not worry about the platinum, I could see this being a good time. Or even if you just hop in and drive around for a little bit just to kind of see what this original game was like, I think that would be enough to get an experience of what Grand Theft Auto 3 is, and and then jump into some of the games that really kind of develop the game into what it is today. Like, I think Vice City is the one that was kind of the turning point for the franchise, where it really caught on to story and gameplay. And then, of course, San Andreas is the pinnacle to a lot of people. And then for me, it's Grand Theft Auto 4 is my favorite, and Grand Theft Auto 5 is just kind of another level as far as video games. So anyways, overall, a fun game, worth checking out if you're a fan of just Grand Theft Auto and maybe video games in general, just because of the influence it had on open world games after it released. And it is just kind of fun. There's something nostalgic and fun about playing PlayStation 2 games. It's a console that me and my brother had a little bit later. Like, we got it when the Xbox 360 was out, because we had a GameCube growing up, and we had sold everything to get the PlayStation 2 to probably play Grand Theft Auto games, honestly. So if you're checking out this video, I appreciate you staying this long to hear my thoughts on Grand Theft Auto 3, and I guess I'll see you in the next one. I am thinking about streaming my Platinum Trophy for Vice City, but I probably will not start that until February or March, because I don't think I want to play Grand Theft Auto for a while. The Platinum Trophy sucks. That would change the review, but Platinum Trophy review, I don't know. I don't even know how to justify a score for that. It's not fun. Game is fun. Platinum Trophy, not fun. Peace.